1.
Hey, welcome back to the Locker Room Readout. Right before we dip into the rest of the AFC North, I want to remind you guys how important your feedback is to this network, the BGC Sports Network. We wanted your feedback to help us improve and present to you, the listener, with the best possible programming for your listening and enjoyment. So just leave your first initial and your last name, as well as your feedback, at comments@bgcsports.net. That's comments@bgcsports.net. And thank you for making us better and your first choice for sports talk that's list 24/7, the BGC Sports Network. All right, those Bengals, we're going to just touch on it and move on because we know that it's a catastrophe that happened on Sunday for the Cincinnati Bengals. Want to get your gentlemen's thoughts, Chris, with all due deference to the wise. Any takeaways, anything that really stood out to you in the trouncing, I think I made up a word, of the Bengals on Sunday?
Wait. You made up a word. Clap it up. You made up a word.
There you go.
Trouncing. You said trouncing. Well, all thing I can say is that Cincinnati Bengals defense is still awful. And, giving up 48 points and to the Carson Wentz, really? I'm sorry. All that stuff. And see, and to talk about defense that is probably worse than the Baltimore Ravens, that defense still is terrible. And and I'm sorry, having a backup quarterback, they want Joe Burrow in that game. They need Joe Burrows in that game, and he ain't coming back for a couple of months. So that's all I can say about that game. The Bengals defense is still awful. It's not the type of team that's going to carry you when your starting quarterback is out. It's that simple. I got nothing else to say about them.
I agree.
The Bengals. What lovely colors. What lovely nigga. Shout out to the jungle, man.
Right?
Who that?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying when watching them. Who is that on that defensive side? Why are you allowing this sort to go off for 34 first half points?
34 points.
Just bad game, just despicable, and that's all I have to say about that. Jake Browning, look, I endorsed you. I'm not going back now. It's too late, and honestly, I don't care to, but we can do better. Period.
You know what? That team needs a lollygagging speech from Bull Durham. That's what that team needs.
Okay, now we're dating ourselves. We're dating ourselves.
I know.
But no, for me, it's curious because they got their entire arses whacked, but they're still sitting at 2-1 at the top of the AFC North going into week 4, right? And it's curious to me because when you look at the implosion, they had 5 turnovers, they had 2 interceptions, they had 3 lost fumbles, right? And the Vikings converted those turnovers into 31 points, right?
That's right.
And it's to me, I wonder, it's kind of like a balloon, right? It's full of air, and you keep, putting the air in there, and you get to the point where you think, okay, when is it going to break? And I say that because I wonder if things continue to trend in the direction for the Bengals that we saw on Sunday, are we talking about fire sale in a couple of weeks? What do you think about that?
Oh, buddy. Wow, this is happening. It's still September, right? At the time of this recording. Yeah. I mean,
this is last weekend of September. Yeah, it might
be. Chris, you're big on, listen, the season really doesn't start until October because teams are still shutting off their preseason, right? Exterior. I just wonder, Burrows, I don't anticipate he's going to be back this season to really make any significant contribution to the team. So I'm just curious. What that could look like in a couple of weeks if things continue to, like I said, trend in the way that it did. They have no offense. It's chaos. The defense was already weak, right? Something to think about, gentlemen. We're going to move on to that team on the western part of Pennsylvania that we don't like to talk about.
We?
Boo.
Wait, we?
Yes.
I love Permane Bros. Wait, what? Wait, we?
I mean, listen, I don't know how much of the game y'all watched. I watched that entire game. You know, the first thing I'm going to say is there's such a difference in 40-year-old Pittsburgh Steelers versus 40-year-old Cleveland Browns quarterback, right?
Yeah, that I can say. Yeah. One's a surefire Hall of Famer, though.
No, I get that. I think he's what now number 4 in terms of passing touchdowns in the league.
Yeah.
You know, and he's there in that position by himself. Just such a difference. He looks so much more mobile, right? So much more tuned in. I mean, you saw him out there like really getting pissed off with who's 88 for Pittsburgh. Didn't seem to really be connected to him. You could see him yelling and really emoting. Like, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. Just a totally different type of player at the quarterback position than the Browns. But I'm so curious your thoughts on that, and then what you saw the Steelers do and capitalize on in that game versus the Patriots, gentlemen. Whoever wants to jump in first.
Chris, go ahead.
5 turnovers. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been, I think they've been lucky on some level, and especially in their 2 wins. I mean, those games were competitive, and they always come up with a way. And that's not really luck. I'm just saying that's the I don't like the Steelers in me. But you got to give them credit. I mean, it's one of those things they've always made a way, whether it's 5 turnovers or Jalen Ramsey's hit on Garrett Wilson in that fourth quarter. You got to make the plays. I mean, we can emote on whether or not we like a team or not, but you got to respect Pittsburgh in that regard. And they have a better quarterback this year, which means that again, it's another reason why, one of the reasons I shake my head at what's going on in Baltimore. But you do what you have to do to win. Patriots can't turn the ball over 5 times, and you can't win a game if you're turning the ball over. And you got a team like Pittsburgh, they're going to take advantage. They have a good enough defense, although I do think that there are some, chinks in that armor, so to speak, in that defense. Guys are getting old, but you got to give the Steelers, you cannot not give the Steelers any credit. And right now, I hate to, as much as it pains me to say this, but right now they might be the favorite to win the division. As much as it pains me to say it.
Man, I respect that, Chris. Irie.
Yeah, when it comes to the Steelers, I did notice of what you were talking about between Aaron Rodgers and Pat very much number 88 as mentioned. What really got me though is a lack of productivity and pretty much overall even within total yards of scrimmage from Jalen Warren, 18 carries on 47 yards. Tell me this, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. It seemed as though like the burst was coming a little bit quicker, or they weren't creating the holes that he's used to in that game. I've kind of driven myself crazy trying to go back and forth with this because I feel like I know his running style well enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like, Sapphire, what do you think in terms of that?
It's a great question, and honestly, it's weird. I think it's like a timing situation, right? I mean, I look at everything kind of running off of Aaron Rodgers. And I actually think the offense is still trying to get accustomed to him being at the helm. I think it's going to come. But I think it's just a timing thing. And I say that because the majority of the passes that I thought I saw him throw, he didn't even really step into the ball.
He did not.
He threw it off his he was falling back or stepping back. So he's holding onto the ball longer. And I think about the effect of that from the running back perspective, right? So I don't have an answer to your specific question yet, But those are some of my initial thoughts.
Right on. And when it pertains to the defense, I actually do agree a little bit with Chris. I think that it has been a little bit luck on that. As good as his defense is to me, I do think it was more so New England just beating themselves, because you're telling me that even despite the number of takeaways, it was still a game, and it wasn't until May's final pick, or not final pick, his only pick, but until the final turnover, May's pick, in which finally Pittsburgh offense wakes up, and now they're able to go down there and they count 4 points off a turnover. They got by. We'll take it. I'll take it.
Okay, let me just jump in here right quick.
Do it. Do it. Come on.
On the surface, I would agree with you, but when you watch that game, example, Stevenson, which I think he's related to Jerry Judy because they both have, issues with fumbles and drop passes.
Wow, boy, boy, we can see the shade on that one.
I'm just saying, right?
That's how we doing it, man. Wow.
Oh boy.
I told y'all beginning of the show, you're not getting us nowhere else. Like real rap. I'm trying to tell y'all, man. Where was I, man?
He had two fumbles. The one where they were like, what, a yard or two away from the end zone. As soon as he got that ball, I can't remember the player for Pittsburgh that hit it first. But just as he was getting ready to cross over the plane, you see Hayward stick his arm out and really cause that fumble.
He did.
And so I'm going to ride with you on, look, Pittsburgh took advantage of the opportunities. They took advantage of the turnovers. They were more efficient when they got the ball. But there's something to be said about veteran leadership on either side of the ball. Like that play was not over. Yeah, he was, second level, but still the veteran leadership, right?
I like that. I agree with that. I'm right with you on that. However, here's my quick rebuttal though. Is it an overreaction to be worried if we're already citing veteran leadership versus a young team like New England?
I mean, that's a fair point, but
that is a fair point.
Where I'm at is if that was a young defensive squad, New England would have defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's something to be said about experience and wisdom and being out there in those situations, and you're managing those moments. Your ability to manage those moments. And I think that for Steelers Nation, they're very, very happy with the defense, and they're longing to see the offense settle in. When that offense starts performing on an equal level as the defense, that's when I really think that Pittsburgh is going to be the most dangerous this year.
I would tend to agree with that, but I just think that, again, I think they do have to straighten out their running game because they're not the same Pittsburgh Steelers running attack that you have. They don't have the kind of power game that they had last year. And, I don't know. Anything can happen within a division. Baltimore might get its act together defensively. Anything can happen there. You know how these seasons work themselves out. But, you're not going to get by with a running game. And like I said, I'm semi-optimistic, not as optimistic as my friends who are fans. But then again, people I know in Baltimore who are fans are very fatalistic. We're very fatalistic about our team. It goes back to the days of the Colts and everything. At least for me, it does.
All right. Let's do this. We got about a minute or two left. Just, gentlemen, your thoughts on the WNBA finals. Let's close this show out with deference to the women's professional basketball teams.
All right. Well, I'll go first. The WNBA playoffs have been electric right now. I said it last week. I'll say it again. Clea Cooper is so North Philly for the Phoenix Mercury, and I really enjoy watching her. And she's just such a pivotal player for that team, especially in that overtime win on Tuesday versus Minnesota. Hopefully, by the time that this goes up Saturday, then Phoenix would have already gone up 2-1 on Minnesota.
Well, I did. That was a game they came back from 20 points down in the third quarter. That was an amazing comeback. And when I get a chance to watch the game, I enjoyed it, even though they were eliminated. I love the way Skylar Diggins performed last week, and and
Yeah.
keeping her team in the playoffs and everything. So I just think that we got to watch them more. It's just the hard part about the women's and WNBA that it comes on at a time and at the start of the NFL season.
The NFL season, yeah, yeah. So yeah, exactly. So then people are not really tuning in to watch the greatness of to Savali and her 24 points in
There you
games
go.
like that. I totally understand and agree with you, Chris.
I
All
mean,
right. We're going to pick this up on the next edition, but I want to thank you all for listening. Come on back, same time next week, same back channel, same back place. Up next is Sports from Her Perspective with Natalie Hicks and Corey Hicks, Mr. Sportsopedia. You've been listening to the Locker Room Readout.